I grew up in India. So when I say I came to this country with $8 in my pocket, it sounds very dramatic. It's a big reach. You come with $8 in your pocket. You never been in a plane before. You never seen a television set. You never owned a phone. So it's all the things that you think you need, you really don't need.
How does an immigrant who arrived in America with only $8 to his name go on to become one of the world's most successful entrepreneurs worth billions of dollars? With passion and optimism. From Cascade Communications to Sycamore Networks, Deshpande's companies have changed the nature of the internet.
Because everything in life is all about setting benchmarks. And so if you know that something is possible to be done, you can do it. But just getting the opportunity to know what's possible is probably the biggest gift you can have. And so we moved to Boston in 1984, about 25 years ago, with the intention of actually starting companies. It sort of sounds a little naive. A couple of people walking to a big city and saying, hey, I'm going to do some companies. But actually it worked out. Over the next 3 years, because I had a very deep training in technology, PhD, I worked in sales and marketing and finance, and finally left in '87 and started a company called Portal Networks, which didn't quite work out, but was a great learning experience. The biggest setback I had in my career was when I started my first company in 1987. Those days, you couldn't start a company until you went without salary for a year and so on. So I and my wife, we saved up enough money for 15 months. I went without a salary for 12 months. Dream come true. We got funded, $4 million. But just about 3 months into the company, I and my partner had a difference of opinion, and I decided to leave because I knew you couldn't have two people in a company who don't really agree 100% on the direction. And so when I left, I'd asked my wife to quit her job. So there we were, both of us, neither one of us had jobs. We had two little kids, maybe a month worth of, savings in the bank. And that looked like the end of the world. But it wasn't, and I think that's the biggest lesson I learned. When things go wrong, yet every time something goes wrong, you think it's the end of the world, but it isn't. And when you get through it, suddenly you feel that much more comfortable in environments that are harsher. Well, I think a lot of the companies that I've done and things that I've done, I think one thing probably that really helps me out is optimism. I'm a very optimistic guy. I think I always feel like things are going to work out. And so, you get hit with something and it looks like the end of the world. But typically, if you can just sit on it for a little bit, things don't look as bad. And so I think setbacks, when you deal with setbacks is a way to expand your comfort zone. You feel more and more comfortable and you think that you're going to come out of it. And I think being optimistic is a very, very good quality to have for an entrepreneur. So where people get a start is not really that important. What's really important is the motivation, and typically as an immigrant, you always have an asymmetrical motivation. People sometimes in the United States, when they grow up with all the comforts that they have, they take it for granted. They don't see the opportunity that they have around them. Even now, I go to India maybe 4 or 5 times a year. When you go there and you come back, you see roads, you flip a switch, the lights come on, you turn the tap, the water comes on. I mean, each one of these is a huge advantage. And you don't realize it's an advantage until you don't have it. And so I think in the United States, all the young kids, they really need to understand how lucky they are and how many resources they have that they can actually achieve anything they want. And what they really need is that motivation and aspiration to reach out.